This is the plaintiff, Enver Suma. He says the defendant, his former tenant, bounced a rent check on him, then secretly moved out with no notice, leaving one heck of a mess for him to clean up. The defendant has a good job, makes good money, and he can't for the life of him understand why she's trying to rip him off like she is. He's suing for $1,300, the amount he's owed. This is the defendant, Dilma Ramos. She says there was a terrible plumbing problem that occurred while she was living there. And instead of hiring a professional to fix the problem, the plaintiff tried to repair it himself. The problem was never corrected, so she decided she needed to get out of that crummy hole and find a better place to live. She stopped the last rent check she gave the plaintiff because she needed the money to move. And the only reason she needed the money to move was because the plaintiff didn't get the pipes fixed by a pro. She's accused of disappearing in the middle of the night.
All parties, please raise your right hands. Be seated, come to order. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
Welcome,
Mr.
ma'am.
Suma, you are suing your former tenant, Ms. Ramos, for $1,300 for February rent that you say she owes and has refused to repay. Tell me about it.
It's true. So she wrote the check for the month of the January 2013. And when I went to deposit the check came balanced. In other words, she canceled the check.
She stopped payment on it. Did she tell you why she stopped payment on it?
She didn't tell me anything. She told me, Suma, I'm short of the money. I will pay you.
Okay. Why did you stop payment on January's rent check?
I stopped payment on the rent. It was March's rent, actually.
March's rent?
Yes.
He's complaining about January's rent. Do you have your canceled checks from...
Yes, I have the proof that I canceled the check.
Which was the check that you canceled?
I canceled the check because the apartment
March's payment?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the apartment wasn't getting fixed. It was very bad conditions. It had leaking in the bathroom. And
Had you been bringing that up to him?
Yes, it started actually in the middle of February. And by that time, it prolonged. He cut off the water. It was just horrible. My son kept getting sick with asthma.
Okay, but what was horrible? Tell me what was wrong.
The piping in the bathroom broke. It was leaking.
Where in the bathroom?
All over the bathroom, all over the frame of the door. You couldn't even go in. I had to put towels on the floor to soak up the water.
And this happened when? In February?
Yes.
Okay.
He came in and he turned off the water for about a week.
A week?
And, yes. So
you had no water in the apartment for a week?
No.
Or just not there, or what?
There was no water. It was very inconvenient. I had to take my kids out.
Did he pay for a hotel for you while he was?
No, I had to accommodate and have them go to my apartment because that was an apartment for my children.
How many kids do you have?
2.
What ages are they?
They were 18 and 20 at the time.
Okay, so you either went natural or you bathed elsewhere and you had no water and you had no coffee and you had nothing to cook with, nothing for a week.
Exactly.
A week.
It was a little bit more than a week. I don't exactly recall exactly the amount of days, but yes, it was.
And at the time, did you say to him, listen, you got to put me up in a hotel or you have to do this? No, you were trying to be accommodating.
No, by that time, I was just actually wanting to get out of that apartment. I winded up stop payment on a check that I had given him for March's rent.
You gave him March and then you stopped payment. But what
Yes.
did you tell him was the reason that you stopped payment?
Because of the apartment conditions. There was.
Did you tell him I'm short on money?
No.
Or you weren't trying to string him along a little while you looked for another place?
No, ma'am. I wasn't short on
All
money.
right, so you told him because after that repair, it still didn't work? The repair.
He repaired it and he still left holes on the ceiling. My son was suffering from asthma.
Do you have pictures of what we're talking about, by the way, with all this water damage?
Yes, I do. I have also video.
And were you in the middle of a lease?
Yes, I was.
You were. Okay, so we need to see the pictures
Okay.
because if you're in the middle of a lease, you can only leave if you have a right to breach the lease.
I want to let you know these are not your eyes. It's the phone.
Oh, for the love of most holy. Oh my gosh, is that the water dripping?
Yes, ma'am.
When was this taken?
Right before I moved out.
Before or after the repair?
Right while it was happening.
Before or after the repair?
Before the repair.
Then when he repaired it, do you have any pictures of any problems after he repaired it?
Unfortunately, no, I don't.
Boy, but this is pretty severe damage.
It was horrible. My son was suffering from asthma.
So you were worried about mold or?
Yes, the mold, the whole conditions. And
Did you ever talk to him and say, listen, I suspect mold or anything like that?
Yes, I did.
And
Yes.
what did he say?
He told me that he would be coming and fix, to please be patient, and it would just take another whole day. I have also a 1.5-year-old that I couldn't bring to the apartment because of the conditions.
You have a 1.5-year-old child?
Yes.
You didn't mention the child.
She wasn't living in that
Who
apartment.
was the child living with?
She lives with me. My children were living, my 18-year-old and my 20-year-old were living in the apartment with
Oh, but it was
someone's
rented
apartment.
in your name?
Yes.
Okay, so you had a separate apartment?
Yes.
Oh. All right. Did you know that?
About
That
what?
she wasn't living there? That she was renting
Yes,
the place?
yes, I
okay,
know.
you did know that.
The-
All right, so did you shut off the water for a week?
No, it's the whole process of the work was taking me like a day and a half. Next day I
Who
went.
repaired the pipes?
Me.
What qualifies you to repair the pipes other than saving money?
Okay, I'm a construction on the field. I'm licensed.
What does that mean, you're a construction?
Okay, that means I know the business and I take care of all my building myself. So she was complaining about the payment of the month of March. The check I have a proof here is January 3rd, 2013.
Do you have proof that from your bank statements that it was a January check?
Yes.
It kind of matters.
Look.
That's why let me see that. It's only the one check that she stopped payment on?
It's just one check.
Okay.
And the check is balanced. Right there is the check from her bank.
Yeah, but this says March 3rd.
Okay.
Oh, you're European, aren't you?
Yeah,
you're
that's
reversing
right.
the two. In
That's
America, we
good.
put the
Yes.
month first and
All
then the date. Okay, well, that solves that little thing.
Anyway, the proof
It
is-
says 3/1/13, and you think that's January, but yeah, we're all on the same
Uh,
page. Okay, so just one moment. So this payment gets stopped.
Yes.
And then do you ever see that money?
I didn't see the money. I called her. She said, I'm short with the money, Suma. I will pay.
So then you used her security deposit to cover this month.
Yes.
And then she stayed an additional month after
She
that.
she left,
So you
yes.
left. When did you leave?
I left, I have proof from from the new apartment that I rented in order to move out.
Well, you live in a totally different place. So I guess
Yes.
you mean that you rented for your
got-
baby
Yeah, for the
kids.
kid, yes.
Yeah.
I
I
had
got
to get
two
them out of
proofs.
there because he was suffering from asthma.
Okay.
So I put the deposit for the new apartment on the 19th, so I was out
19th of
before-
what?
Of March.
Of
So I was-
March?
Yes. And I moved out.
The relevant part is when they moved. When did they move out of that apartment?
I moved them out of the apartment before the first of the month. It was
How
like,
can you prove that? Because he says you were there in April.
because I have the new rental
The
agreement.
day you put a deposit on a new agreement only tells me that you put a deposit on a new agreement. It doesn't tell me when you moved out. That's my question. I need to know when you moved out. Did you rent a U-Haul that would show me when you moved out? Yeah. Did you guys watch People's Court? Because if you
Yeah.
watched it, you'd know not to come to court empty-handed. You know?
And
Did you rent a U-Haul?
Yes, I did. Yes, I have access to get it.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll take a recess and try to give you access to get that, because maybe you could call them and they can fax it over to you. We'll give you a fax machine, because that's pretty important to me, because that tells me when you left. And according to him, you didn't tell him that you were leaving. Is that a lie?
I told him that I was moving out.
How did you tell him?
I told him that I needed to move out.
How did you tell him? Verbally, by
Verbally.
phone, by email, by text, by what?
Verbally.
Okay, let me also explain something to you for the rest of your life and teach your children this. Things that are critical from a legal standpoint, like your rights, your ability to not have to owe money, your ability to get a security deposit back, your ability, things that like this, that matter, that are legal, just do it in writing. And then you have proof of when you did it, because you want to create a track record of what you're saying, so that if one day you find yourself on the People's Court with the judge grilling you like a cheeseburger, you can whip out your proof. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
Now, let me ask you, Mr. Suma, you say that she never told you anything?
No. And she broke the lease. She has a 2 years lease.
In fact, at the end of your complaint, let me quote you because I don't want to misquote you. I am now suing the plaintiff for the $1,300 she owes me for February. You really mean April. The defendant has a good job, has the money, so I don't know why she never paid me. But she's a Spanish lady, and I know how they are sometimes. Why don't you tell me what you meant by that?
Well, listen, I have plenty of experience, because a lot of people, they do. Overnight, they're moving out.
Yeah, but
When they come-
she's a Spanish lady, and you know how they are sometimes. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever watched People's Court?
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes? Did you know I was Cuban? Did you know I'm a Spanish lady? And if I wasn't a Spanish lady, I would still be a little annoyed at that little comment.
Well, this is the answer was.
What's the answer? What did you mean when you said, but
asked
she's
me
a Spanish lady, and you
asked-
know how they are sometimes? What do you mean by your little
they asked
bigoted
me on
comment?
the phone. I didn't mean for any
Quote,
discrimination. or
but
what.
she is a Spanish lady, and I know how they are. Just say it. Like you're right there in black and white. Just say what you meant. But she's a Spanish lady, and I know how they are sometimes. What?
Well, they're sneaking overnight. They leave the apartment.
Sneaky overnight and leaving the apartment. All right, I'm gonna give you access to a fax machine or an email, a scanner, whatever it is that you need, so you can try to get the receipt to see if I can figure this stuff out. Court's in recess.
All rise.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey 11 here. So, suppose you live in an apartment and no water for a week. Can you, in the middle of the lease, just break the lease, walk out, and get your security back?
Absolutely, yes.
Because
Because there's no water. You can't shower, you can't do anything. That's not right.
the landlord's trying to fix it. Does that make a difference?
Yeah, if he's trying to fix it, I think the person that's renting the house or an
Has to
apartment
wait?
has to, yeah.
How long? If it's not a week, how long?
Maybe at least 2 weeks, at least.
You think 2 weeks? Is a week enough?
A week, you should be able to leave. The water needs to work,
And you get your deposit back.
everything.
Okay, fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
Okay, were you able to get a U-Haul receipt?
Yes.
May I see it? Ooh, rented on March 29 at 4:10 and returned on April 1st in the morning. Sure sounds like you got out in time before that next month came.
Yes.
Did you re-rent the place?
Yes.
How quickly did you re-rent it?
Like months after.
Did you have to do any additional work with the plumbing after?
No. It's done. Everything is changed, brand new, and the seal and everything is repaired before she moved out.
Okay. So I have one issue in front of me, and the one issue in front of me is, did they stay in April? I now have a U-Haul receipt in her name that says that she rented a U-Haul, a 10-foot truck, on March 29th and returned it the morning of April 1st, which tells me, because if you're returning the truck, you're done, which tells me that the move was done within the right amount of time. So therefore, I find that she did not live there in April and does not owe April rent.
Well,
That is
did-
my verdict.
did the
Good
receipt
luck,
say-
folks.
Thank you.
Did the receipt say, what were you going to say?
Did the receipt says the address where is the truck being used?
No, why would they say that? She rents the truck at U-Haul.
Well, she could have rented the truck
You
someplace
know
else.
what? It says enough for me to rule against you. Okay.
Thank you.
So coming out of the courtroom empty-handed, the plaintiff right here to say what?
Well, the reason she gave wrong information on those, and I'm losing the rent.
The conditions look pretty bad in there.
Well, yes, that's true. When the water leak is, the condition is going to change, of course. But that was for a short period of time.
Okay. All right. Right around the corner, the documents are waiting for you, okay, to sign out of here. And so come on in here. Are you satisfied how this comes out?
Yes, I'm very satisfied. I think the judge made a great decision. She's amazing.
Yeah, the winner usually feels that way. What'd you do afterward? How are your conditions, living conditions now for?
Well, now they're very good. I have a very good apartment where there's no leaks and everything is working fine.
All right. Everything worked out well for you, Harvey?
Yes.
Kurt, there is something in the law. I'm going to give you a technical term. It's called a warranty of habitability. And this applies in pretty much every lease all over the country. Even if it's not in your lease, it's implied. It's judges will just say it's part of the lease no matter what. What it means is you have a right to reasonable health and safety when you rent a place. And if there is something that compromises your health or safety and it's really, really serious, you might be able to get out of the lease on that basis.